All right, good evening. Welcome to the Finance Committee. This is March 2nd, 2022.
And your caller too, so now we can't hear you.
You've got to take the call, who's going to stay on. I made that mistake.
All right, thank you. I beg your pardon. So the Finance Committee meeting, this is March.
Hello? Unmuted. And so,
Okay.
hi, I didn't hear anything.
Good evening. Welcome to the Finance Committee. This is March 2nd, 2022. On our agenda today, we will review and vote on transfer requests. We'll look at an overview of the fiscal 2023 budgets and look at minutes, and that will be it for the evening. Oh, and we will also discuss what departments will be coming in over the next few weeks to talk about their budgets. So first, tonight, and I see we have Deputy Johnson here. We have some transfers from the fire department. The first transfer is coming from the firefighter salary account. Present balance $253,380.94. Amount requested is $416.34 going to the administrative assistant salary account. And this is to cover the account deficit. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Ed. So we got to do a roll call. So let's see, all in favor. Trevor?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Okay, that passes. The next transfer, also from the firefighter salary account, which has a balance of almost $253,000. The amount requested is $1,084.62 going to Deputy Chief Salary Holiday Account. And the reason is to cover the account deficit. Does anyone have any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, so motion to approve in second. All in favor. Trevor?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Thank you. All right, and the third transfer is from the firefighter salary account, which has now been reduced by those previous amounts. The amount requested is $14,000 going to medical supplies account. And this is to cover the account deficit. So do you want to, Deputy Chief Johnson, do you want to tell us about this transfer?
Sure. Good evening.
Good evening.
We are running in the red in that account. And that is because we bought a lot of extra supplies. We've had, due to COVID, we've kind of, our medical supplies have gone up. The prices have gone up on our medical supplies. And we currently have the 4 ambulances, so we've been trying to also equip that.
Okay. So I'm thinking that this is actually the transfers put together in the middle of February, and we're still in the fiscal year to the end of June. So will we expect more transfers, or will this cover you through the end of the year?
There is a potential we'll have to do one more transfer at the end, and that really comes down to what happens on March 14th. Talk about impact shift.
Okay. What's on March 14th?
That's with the Board of Selectmen, the ARPA.
Okay, I understand. Okay, thank you. All right, so it depends on that. Okay, well, that's good. And we'll keep in mind when we look at the firefighter budget, we'll make sure we look at the medical supply account and make sure it's sufficient. Do I hear a motion? Any other questions?
Just a quick question.
Yep.
Chief, is medical supply something that we see reimbursement for via insurance and through COVID monies? You mentioned that some of the increased supply costs were COVID related. Are we going to see any reimbursements through those and those things as well?
I don't believe you will. Some of the items that we've bought, we have been reimbursed through the CARES Act, but in general, the medical supplies are not reimbursed. And it's through the ambulance billing that we make the money back to pay for that through the ambulance receipt.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All right, thank you, Kevin, thank you, Ed. Let's see, we're gonna do a roll call. All in favor? Trevor?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And myself, yes. All right, and that is it for the fire department. Thank you for joining us, Deputy
Thank
Chief.
you. Have a good night.
You too, bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, so our next transfer is, in the DPW. It's coming from the wages line, which has a balance of $43,638.95. And the amount requested is $20,000 and is going to more vehicle repairs. Reason for the transfer is repairs to vehicles and cost of parts and service have increased since July 1, 2021. Do I see Ms. Paquin here? Hi, do you want to tell us about this transfer?
Sure. Good evening. So we're requesting transfer for fleet maintenance. We had some unexpected repairs that we needed to make, in addition to the rising costs of materials and repairs.
Okay, so is there no money left in the account, and will this $20,000 be sufficient through the end of the fiscal year?
I'm hoping, but it just depends on what, if we have any more, vehicles that break down. We're hopeful that, you know, as we're coming towards, well, we're in March now, so, we're hopefully not gonna need the salt trucks much longer for the rest of the year. But there, you know, the fleet's not just salt trucks, but, those are the repairs that really take up a lot of the money.
Okay, I understand. Okay, thank you. Members, do you have any questions?
Madam Chair, if I may,
Yes.
just to let you know. It's been a difficult year. Certainly, I think Joanna has indicated some of the problems that they've encountered during the course of the year. Parts are scarce, the prices are going up, trucks are going down, we can't get new vehicles. There's a backlog on vehicles, so it's putting more pressure on the vehicles that we have. We've done a transfer. This will be the second transfer. A third transfer may be required. We did adjust the fleet maintenance account for FY '23,
Great.
knowing that these problems are gonna probably continue well into FY '23.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, Ed. Okay, any questions?
Motion to approve?
Second?
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion to approve. Let me go through the roll call. All in favor? Trevor?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Okay, and myself, yes. So that's approved. Thank you. Thanks for coming in, for this transfer. Our last transfer is for Packagug Golf Course. The, account that the transfer is coming from is the golf course contingency account, which has a present balance of $10,010.45. Amount requested is $5,000 going to the banking charges line. And additional funds are needed to get through the rest of the fiscal year 2022. Okay, any questions?
We have Ms. Paquin.
Oh, did you want to tell us about that? Thank you, I beg your pardon.
So this line item is used for the banking charges, and that's a variable charge, a monthly charge, and it depends on how many transactions. It has to do with the credit card transactions that are made. So so we just needed to, we're running short, so we needed to get that transfer for the remainder of the year.
Okay. Patrick?
Do the credit card charges get absorbed by the town as opposed to being paid by the person using the vehicle to charge, for the lack of a better way? In other words, the charges come through the merchant. They don't get passed on to the person who's using the credit card. They come to the city.
Yeah, they'll come to the towns, yes.
I think it's more so the how many of the transactions, I think it's per transaction, not
Well,
really.
well, I think that's my point. I mean, if all of a sudden you have a large influx of people that move to plastic, it's going to increase the charges on the account. I'm just thinking, is there a way that we can alter the use or the enticing of the card if the person using it knows that the charges are going to fall back on them? I understand it's a convenience, but it's not a convenience to the taxpayer who's covering the fees.
So just to say that there is no taxpayer's money covering these fees. It's absorbed through the enterprise account, which is strictly paid through the fees.
So it's okay, so it's out of,
There's no subsidy
right,
in any way,
Okay.
shape, or form for the operation of the
Perfect.
golf course
Okay.
since
right,
it opened.
got it, okay. Okay, got it. Now it makes sense. It's taking care of itself.
Okay, good. Any other questions?
Because it was a budget transfer, it wasn't clear to me that it was an isolated account. I lost sight of
Yeah,
that.
no, it's in a contingency account.
Right.
Certainly, we need a contingency in any enterprise account because during the course of the year, if they run out of money, we can't
Sure.
go to the general fund for money. Otherwise, we'd have to recoup it the following year. It gets,
No, it makes sense now. It's
Not
already
clean.
absorbed, but it just wasn't budgeted correctly within the fund. But it's taken care of.
yes.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Quick question while we're on that, is it always the same bank? Do we ever look towards different banks that may have different fee schedules and per
It's-
transaction?
Yeah, it's a merchant services, and they're all pretty competitive, so they all stay within a 0.5 of each other. It's rare that it merits looking, but you'll probably find that they're all the same. Because they come from the various merchants, so if somebody uses a Visa, the Visa merchant is gonna charge you a fixed amount every time. If they're using a MasterCard or American Express, that merchant's gonna charge you the same fee. So you can't really compete one card against another. I mean, you might limit it if all of a sudden you said, well, the lowest fees are MasterCard, so we're just gonna allow for MasterCard. So you're sort of, if you're gonna allow them to use it, you sort of gotta take it's a convenience fee, so.
Okay. Any other questions? Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, thank you. So we'll do a roll call. All in favor, Trevor,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
and myself, yes, thank you. All right, thank you again. Thank you. So those are the transfers. So now we're on to the next item, which is the overview of the fiscal 2023 budget. And Mr. Kabzanovich, do you want to talk about?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to hand this out. I do have a presentation. I'm hoping that we're able to share the screen with the outside world, but it'll take a minute.
All right. Thank you.
And can you ask the who is ever viewing, if they can see that on their screen?
So, Sharon, can you see the first slide for the budget presentation?
Can I see it?
Yeah, on your screen?
I think she's by phone.
No, I'm on the phone.
You're on the phone. Okay, how about Michael, are you on the
No,
computer?
she
Oh, Julie can't see
No, I
it?
can't see it.
Okay, can't see it.
Okay, is it
All right, so we'll try to enable this.
no, it should be shared screen.
More options. That screen.
I keep forgetting that it's not part of the budget, like
These
it's its own,
Yeah, yeah.
because they come to us, it appears.
Okay, Julie, can
No,
you,
I don't think. it's that
oh, no,
water.
okay.
Hold on, let me show you.
There's something up. Oh, no, it's just, yeah, we can see your screen, Ann,
Okay, but not, I understand, okay.
but not Ann's, right?
All I know is the one I use for work is 3 dots and you click on it, share screen.
So we have the schools coming next week. So we're talking about,
So it's asking the organizer to make me the presenter. Go to me. Do screen here. Try to.
Which one are you on there?
No, it's gotta open up that thing. Hit share one more time.
see, that's what's, so it's, if you can get that to be, the presentation. Oh, this.
Can you pass the presenter
Hmm? It's asking the organizer.
to
Oh.
share it?
Which one is,
Me. Oh, okay.
which one of these?
Right here, town hall.
Oh, which one is
presenter.
Eddie? Town hall present, okay, so do I need to, okay, yeah,
Click or right click?
make presenter. Yes,
There you go, you're up on your screen. now.
yay.
No, that didn't work.
It didn't?
I think it did.
Julie, it
No.
didn't work?
But put your presentation up there now, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
hold on.
I'm gonna try one more thing.
Here we go, that should work.
Ooh. Julie, can you see it? Here, she did. You can, oh, she, thumbs up, we can see it, thanks, Julie.
Okay,
Can she
Thank
hear
you.
us?
Yay.
Oh, now we can't see anything.
here we go.
Well,
How's
we
that?
got it right here, so we don't need to see it. All right.
Okay, finally, let's get the
Finally.
show on the road. Thank you for all the members who are participating tonight. Much appreciated. So this is a culmination of about 6 to 8 weeks of sitting down, compiling data, having hearings with the department heads, and leading up to a recommendation that we presented to the Board of Selectmen on Monday evening, who took a vote, unanimous vote to send it off to the Finance Committee. That being said, we do have a brief presentation for you tonight. We did make the books available for the Board of Selectmen about 10 days ago on Friday. They had an opportunity to review it. I know you just received your books most recently. May have not had the opportunity, so I'm going to try to pull everything together for you tonight in summary form, which will lead off to maybe some considerations tonight, and then we have a schedule that we'd like to run by you in terms of what the expectation is over the next 6 weeks.
Yep.
So before you tonight, a recommendation from town administration is asking for total appropriations of $78,118,961.82, offset by an equal amount of revenue, leading to a balanced budget at this point. This recommendation utilizes at this point roughly 1.26% of Prop 2.5, or 50.34% of Prop 2.5. When we look at total revenue sources, the growth of revenue from current fiscal year to the recommended budget before you tonight is 2.68, as well as a 2.68 growth factor in appropriations. As we break it down by revenue source, our local receipts is up by about 409,000, or just shy of 4%. Cherry sheet revenue, very encouraging. This is using the governor's recommendation. It's up roughly 1.8 million, or 12.07%. Our tax levy utilizes just under 1.1 million, or 2.54%. That includes new growth. When you back new growth out, it gets us back to the 1.26. Our debt exclusion is going down by about 65,000, or just shy of 2%. And our available funds, a decline of 1.3, primarily that of free cash, which we would consider in the fall, down about 39.82%. I'm not going to get into the appropriations. You can see our recommendation. It's supported by the documentation in your 3-ring binder. But as you can see, bottom line is our 78,118,861. Some of the notables that are driving on the appropriation side in terms of new positions, we have recommended 2 school licensed practical nurses. Also in the school department, there's 1 ABA, full-time position. There's a 0.6 position for a school strings teacher. And there are 2 assistant golf coaches. These are stipend positions that's been recommended in the budget. On the town side, we are recommending a full-time police deputy chief starting 1/1/2023. We are recommending a part-time conservation agent. This has been asked for a number of years. Paid strictly through the conservation fund, which is allowable under MGL. No tax levy money for that. And in the golf course, we are recommending a golf club manager. There was a reassignment of duties for the individual that was working up there. And so we had to make sure operationally we're able to handle the public during the day and on the weekends. And this is offset by a user fee that was approved by the Packagug Oversight Committee. I think the fees are going up $2. I can give you that information as a result of the minutes that were provided to us. Also, we increased the salary and wage reserve account. It's being increased because we're currently negotiating a number of contracts that are having an impact beginning July 1. We also increased our reserve account to address some of the inflationary impacts that we addressed through when Joanna came before you, such as fleet. And there are some other areas that I'll get into a little later on in the presentation that make up those accounts. We know that our Bay Path assessment is going to increase by about 19% as a result of 19 new students being enrolled in that program for the coming year. Once again, I indicated to you earlier, we increased our fleet maintenance by about 10% due to escalating costs and repairs. We increased snow and ice to reflect anticipated salt and driver wage increases as a result of supply and demand. And we have a 23% increase in the Packagug Golf Course budget as a result of clubhouse manager and seasonal help. Here's a listing of our revenue. As you can see, we are estimating new growth at $450,000. Once again, we believe that to be conservative at this time, but very cautious about the fact that if it does come in lower than the 5-year average, we want to be prepared to address that without making budgetary cuts. As you can see, we're using roughly 83.78% of the available levy. That's why we have so much excess levy capacity, because we're not taxing at 100%. Here's a listing of our available funds as it compares to FY '22. Our cherry sheet state aid is going from $14,932,000 to $16,734,000, $1.8 million bump. And our local receipts are primarily level funded. We did make an adjustment for hotel motel. We're seeing a comeback as a result of COVID in that account, and a slight bump in meals tax. Everything else is basically level funded at this time until we have a better handle on our year-to-date actuals, and we won't know that until sometime in late June. Here's our 5-year average on new growth. As you can see, over the last 5 years, we averaged about 730,000. We're estimating 450. If we were to realize a year like we had in '22, 769, that would be about a $300,000 bump. We could utilize that $300,000 bump to continue to dilute the tax rate, or we can use it for some other need or priority that may be identified through your discussions with the departments. Here's a listing of our local receipts. As you can see, we made a significant bump in hotel motel from $266,000 to $600,000. So right now, we're on course probably to get about 750. I didn't want to utilize the full amount of money only because I didn't know if there was a delay in the receipts, or there may be, through cause and effect through COVID, that we may take a step backwards. In summary, we have revenues and expenses equaling each other at $76,118,951.82. It utilizes, once again, 1.26 out of 2.5, which would leave a allowable 2.5 still available of $629,777. Some of the priorities that we want to bring to your attention as a result of our deliberations with the department heads. We want to continue to increase roadway reconstruction. We did make another bump this year to 515. The high water mark for roadway reconstruction pre-COVID was 535. We're getting an indication that there may be some pothole monies coming from the state, some additional roadway money, which will allow us to delay getting back to the 535 if we're getting some state revenue in. That will give us some flexibility in addressing our potholes on our roads. Once again, a priority through discussions with the provisional chief and the provisional lieutenant. They'd like to see a change in the command staff that would create a deputy police chief position. We're currently going through a human resource study. We got a state grant that gave us $20,000. That study is currently underway. We do not know the results of that study, but it may require some enhancements and some changes in the way we deal with our HR issues on both the town and the school side. We've had close and ongoing discussions with the school superintendent relative to this position, and realize the importance of bringing someone on with some expertise. So we may be coming to you at a later date, or maybe even during this next 6 weeks, to make some recommendations in the area of HR. We want to continue to close the tax classification gap. I know the board is considering adopting a policy to address that, but we are, once again, we recognize the importance of a continued march towards a single tax rate. And we want to continue to earmark tax levy money towards our OPEB liability. Unfortunately, we were forced to strip that away when we cut $1.3 million out of the operating budget, when we had a significant revenue loss as a result of COVID. So we want to get back to a position where we want to incrementally add tax levy towards our OPEB liability. Some of the areas of concern relative to inflation. Motor vehicle fuel. I think we're all seeing the effects of what's going on in the world economy. Supply and demand with with summertime coming up. I think we're all seeing the cost of fuel go up. We did increase our fuel account in the FY23 budget. And at the time we did that, it was not cognizant of what we're seeing now. So we may have to do a further adjustment on fuel. We're also concerned about a potential fuel adjustment for our solid waste collection. There is a provision in the contract that allows for escalating cost of fuel. It would be diesel in terms of solid waste collection. That may trigger an additional cost on that end. Certainly, we don't know if, I think we can all assume if motor vehicle fuel is going to go up, heating oil is going to go up. Natural gas may go up. So we're concerned about those areas as well. Electricity costs, we're concerned about. General liability insurance, especially everything going on with cybersecurity, may trigger some increased premiums. We just do not know yet until we go out to bid. Our healthcare costs, we always concerned about that, although we believe the amount that we had recommended in our budget will be adequate enough to meet our FY23, not only employee but employer costs. Snow and ice, we've had a difficult winter so far. I can tell you that we most definitely will end up in a deficit balance. Although we are allowed to raise that on the recap under Chapter 44, Section 31, I think it's important to at least consider a potential increase for FY23, which we did increase. We may have to increase that even more if we're seeing a increase in salt costs, an increase in a private driver snow plowing costs. And we've also seen an increase in our retirement costs. I think COVID-19 has led to some premature retirements, people getting out early. We know that's going to have an impact, long-term impact on our annual assessment. We may not seen that spike yet, but certainly I wanted to put that on the radar screen as a potential, not only for FY23, but for future years as well. So with that, that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have at this point in time. So let me just log out here, and I will come back up to the
Oh, he's gonna do it?
just go here. Trying to get this screen back to you, Ann.
I'm looking to see if I should be doing it from here. Oh, good.
Okay.
Yep, thank you. Thank you, Ed. All right, so, members, do we have any questions?
I have a couple.
Yes, Patrick?
Through the chair, Ed, could you just elaborate? You said one of the priorities and objectives were to address human resources. And I'm just wondering if there's a focus on either retention, succession planning, management training, filling gaps. Is there a focus on what HR, the study is hoping to bring to the surface? Is there a focus for it?
So I think one of our, well, there are several areas that we were concerned with. In terms of consistency, I think we were lacking in that area because basically we had an HR person on our side, the school had an HR person on their side, and they were kind of running independently. And I think there's some matters of general liability that we were concerned
Sure.
with. So we want to make sure that we're consistent. As a governmental entity, we want to make sure that we're consistent with all our employees as it relates to mandates, as it relates to COVID requirements. There was,
So is there, of the two HR people, or individuals on both sides, is there not like, say, one person who would actually have jurisdiction over all of the benefits? So are you saying the HR director at the schools was actually administering their own benefit plan, and the HR person in City Hall on the town side was administering their own benefits? Is that one of the concerns?
so
That there's
in terms of benefits, we did have one individual that handled both town and school.
Both, so there are some areas of them that are consolidated, and then there are some parts of it that are separated.
Right, but from the personnel perspective, they were running independently.
Right, okay.
So, those kind of inconsistencies can come back to bite you. So
Sure, yeah.
So we're looking to hire a professional that can oversee all of the operations of both.
That's a really good objective and a really good priority. The other question is on the concern side. I believe in most, and I don't know if they've combined them yet. I know in a lot of insurance policies, cybersecurity is falling underneath general liability. Is it still there, or are they starting to? I don't believe that they are taking cyber out of general liability, but they are starting to audit cities and towns to find out what their risk is, and for obvious reasons. Are we still, we don't have a cyber policy, it still falls under?
We do have a
You have a
cyber
cyber
policy, it's a
policy.
separate policy.
Right. And so, right, and, you know.
But I mean, you hear horror stories out there. I think the town of Quincy got billed for $3.5 million.
Somebody just paid a vendor for over $100,000 and sent a wire out, and it was fraudulent
So
because of not having checks and balances in place.
we're training our employees. It's really become an important piece of concern. We've gotten a state grant. We're training our employees. I just got notified the other day to change an employee's direct deposit. I reached out to the employee. I said, "Is this authentic?" And they said, "I never sent it." So these are the kind of things that we have to make our employees aware of. And in terms of risk management, the insurance companies really putting a primary focus on cybersecurity.
Sure.
So, I mean, we believe that because it's a primary focus, it's one element of insurance. There are many elements. We have settlements, we have workers' comp, we have IOD. So it's experience rating, they're gonna look at a number of things. I'm just putting on the radar screen that it's something of concern that we need to keep our eye on the ball.
Great. And my last one on priorities and objectives, again, is on the OPEB liability for post-employment benefits. Is the actual finance management team here in the city with the manager, the town manager, Ms. Jacobson, actually overseeing the policy, or is there a subgroup or an investor that's managing the OPEB liability currently via a policy? Or if you could just maybe give me a little insight on the structure of the management.
So we do have an investment firm that handles our OPEB liability trust. But in terms of, there should be a separate committee formed.
Right.
That has not happened yet.
Okay. Does that require a motion by the selectmen or the finance committee to?
Well, I think it should be driven by a policy that we submit to the Board of Selectmen and they adopt.
Okay.
So that's something we'll be working on. But we were one of the pioneers, quite honestly, of jumping out early and starting to fund our OPEB trust. And that liability changes significantly from actuarial to actuarial, all depending on rate of returns and things of that nature.
And your investment risk and the policies of the portfolio and the whole.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So, we reached a high watermark of 56 million is our unfunded liability. It went down as low as 29 million. It's back up to 37
Well,
million.
that's, part of it is altering the risk and without risk, you can't get return. So, and if it's, I'm just asking because it also merits that some of them don't even keep up with the pace of inflation.
Right.
I'm not saying that that's the case, but there's a lot of factors that go into something like this. So that's why I was questioning whether there would be a committee or a group. Like you said, it's being driven by policy and it's down as a priority and objective. So it shows you have your eye on it. But I would say that it would be important for the town to get something in place for that, to maybe even offset some of the burden of the rest of the management of the town to focus on other things. It's something that's not going to go away.
Yeah, so.
Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Ed?
No, I'm good for now. I mean, it was a really good presentation with all the information.
Okay. Kevin, do you have any questions?
Just relative to positions, do we want to discuss positions as the individual departments are discussed, or are the current positions requested? Obviously, the part-time folks, they are what they are. But as far as the other, are they based upon certain data, or are they based upon reorganization plans, do org charts? And just, I don't know if you want to discuss it now or wait for those individual departments.
Yeah, well, because I think operationally, these decisions are being made for a number of reasons, so I think it would be best to have the department heads address why they requested these positions. I know the school positions, for instance, the LPNs are for one-on-one. But beyond that, I would rely on the department heads to convey to you why they think these positions are needed.
Thank you. All set. How about our members who are joining us virtually? Trevor, do you have any questions about the budget?
No, not at this time.
Thank you, Trevor. How about Michael?
I'm all set, thank you.
Thank you. So I just have one question at this point. That's a big increase in the cherry sheet receipts. And we're using the governor's numbers.
Governor's numbers.
How certain are we? I mean, if you're putting it in here, usually you're pretty certain about it. Are you pretty sure that we'll be able to get that?
So historically, we always find that the governor's numbers are probably the most conservative. Although as of late, they seem to mirror what the House and the Senate ultimately vote. I don't think you'll see much deviation from this recommendation. Although there's a lot of money out there, and whether or not there is, a move by either the House or the Senate to earmark some other funds for other purposes, other than what the governor has recommended, we're not sure. So I think the next set of numbers we'll see are the House numbers, probably due out at the end of March in that ballpark. I think that will give us some confidence once that comes out, whether our numbers will hold or not.
Okay, good, thank you. And any other questions?
It's interesting, the Bay Path 19% increase with 19 students. I was trying to think of how many students in total. So it was 19 students.
Over and above the current count?
So right now, I think the 23 numbers that are driving that assessment is 118 students.
Okay.
We're currently at 99.
I actually did have one other question. You mentioned there'd be some people starting to come next week, some departments. Would it be possible before Wednesday night to get the schedule of who's expected, just as a courtesy to look
Yes.
through their budgets?
We do have a
That's what we do.
tentative schedule
Yeah,
Well,
that I
attended,
worked with
okay.
Sharon on.
perfect.
Great.
Well, we have to sprinkle in a few of the smaller ones. I don't think she captured all of them, but the major ones are.
Okay. All right, so we'll take a look at that at the end. Thank you. If we don't have any other questions, let's take a look at a few of these budgets. There are some that we can look at that are pretty straightforward. The first budget is the moderator. The fiscal 22 appropriation, $296, department request, $296, and that's also what the town manager recommends. So, our options here are to recommend, not recommend, And I believe, well, we don't have to vote to hold. We don't have to, if we don't want to vote on something today, we want to vote on something at a, upcoming meeting, we don't need to take a vote to do that. So we can say, motion to recommend or motion to not recommend.
I'd make a motion to recommend on this one.
Second.
Okay, so, a motion to recommend the, moderator line, $296. So all in favor, let me do the roll call again. Trevor,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Okay, thank you.
But I'll say yes.
Hmm?
Yes as well, I think you missed me.
Oh, sorry, all right. Kevin is yes also, all right. That's why, all right. Okay, so, select board is next. All right, let's see, the total fiscal '22 appropriation is $10,737. The amount that's being requested for fiscal 2023 is also $10,737. And that's also the amount that the town manager recommends. Do we have any questions on that?
Motion to recommend?
Second.
Thank you. So we have a motion to recommend. So all in favor, Trevor,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
and myself, yes. So that's recommended. All right, next is the town manager department. Okay, so that's Executive Office of Town Manager. All right, so that's, Executive Office of Town Manager,
What number is that one under?
01129,
Okay, thank you.
129. So the total appropriation for fiscal '22, that's the year we're in now, is $415,388. The department request for fiscal '23, $436,529, and that is an increase of $21,141, or 5.09%. So let's see, do we have any questions on this budget?
I'll make a motion to recommend.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to recommend and a second. So all in favor, let me do a roll call. Trevor,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Okay, so that is recommended. Next, we'll look at Finance Committee.
I say we throw that in the trash.
Scrutinize it.
Oh, it increased.
It's an increase for the first time in.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the fiscal '22 appropriation for Finance Committee is $815, and the department request for fiscal 2023 is $1,015. That's an increase. We haven't seen that for a long time. And that is due to the printing costs increasing. So it's an extra $200, and that's being requested, and that's due to increase in printing costs. Okay, do we have any questions?
I say motion to approve before we lose it.
Yeah. Motion to recommend.
Second.
Motion to recommend.
Second.
Second, okay, great. So we have a motion to recommend in a second. So all in favor, Trevor?
Yes.
Thank you. Michael?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And myself, yes. So now let's look at our next department. That is the Law Department. It's 151. So there are three accounts here: General Counsel, Negotiator, and Special Litigation. The appropriation for the year we're in now is $145,000, and the department request is the same. Department request for fiscal 2023 is $145,000. Could I ask, Mr. Kazanovich, where are we this year in our, I don't know if you don't have it,
No, I
that's
have it, I
fine.
have a year-to-date.
All right, I'm just wondering where we are now. I see it's been pretty consistent. Hmm.
So general counsel, we've expended roughly about half
Oh, okay.
year-to-date.
And that's through February,
This is
January?
actually through today.
through today. That's
Yeah.
even better.
But
We're
there
more
may-
than halfway through the year.
But February's bills may not be paid yet,
Okay.
all right, so.
So we're at least
it may-
halfway
it's
through.
Probably 7 months through.
Okay.
Negotiator. Out of 50, we've expended 16 with a remaining balance of 33. Special litigation, we have the full amount of 10. So we're doing okay this year.
Okay. All right, thank you, Ms. Kazanovich.
Just a question regarding,
Yeah.
do we, for general counsel, I know it's been Attorney Hannigan forever, but do we enter into a contract with them for them to be our counsel, or how does that work in terms of, the billing schedule, and how do we know how much?
Yeah, no, there's an agreed upon rate contractually, hourly rate.
Thank
For both, labor and general counsel.
But there's not a set fee to enter into that contract and then hourly beyond that?
No.
It's straight,
Just straight hourly.
thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Motion to recommend?
I just want to, I'm sorry, it's a 3-year average. I was going to make sure it wasn't a typo because I saw 41 and 14, but it's a 3-year average. So,
All right, so I hear a motion to recommend and a second. So, all in favor, let's do a roll call. Trevor,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Patrick,
yes.
and myself, yes. So that budget's recommended. And the last one we're gonna look at tonight is the human resources budget. Okay, that, fiscal 2022 appropriation, the year we're in now, $81,091. Department request is $82,572. That's an increase of 1.83%. And those are due to, increases in the salary line and clerical line.
Madam Chair, just a question relative to that?
Yes,
So, Eddie, the human resources study,
Yeah,
has a study happened already? Or is that going out?
I believe all the field work has been done, the report is being
Created.
created.
So as a result, when do we anticipate that coming back in, based upon the results of that study? Could there be significant changes to, how soon will we make changes? Should it say, you should have an overall director, and that position would fall under this department, correct?
So if the report does suggest a director, we've had discussions with schools that it'd be like a shared position, so we would absorb a portion of that, they would absorb a portion of that. I just don't know initially if that's gonna be a full-time position or a part-time position, we don't know. But certainly, I think, someone with some, legal expertise, needs to fill that position. But we're probably looking at maybe 30 to 45 days out, if I were to estimate. So I would suggest that you can vote this as is. If we need to come back and ask you to reconsider or amend it, we would do so through that process.
okay, thank you.
Because in recent years, you've done quite a bit to sort of, my understanding in the past, even some of the HR functions fell to yourself and Julie.
Yes.
And you parse that off, a lot of the benefit stuff. They even have their own office space, which, those were all in the last couple of years. Am I correct? We sort of started to make an HR department for the town, and this is sort of the next step, and
Right, so like, for instance, Julie and I are sitting and negotiating at the table now. This individual would be somewhat involved in that. Any grievances, any things of that nature, this individual would be responsible for. And that would kind of relieve Julie and I from performing these functions. would be assigned to this individual.
But, and if it truly were, and again, we have to wait to see what the study says, but if it came back as a director of HR
Yeah,
was the recommendation and you would go that way, I mean, that would be a significant position within the town, a department head. I imagine, based on the resume that you'd probably be looking for and things of, you just mentioned, legal expertise and HR background.
Yeah.
So we could see a big addition to this potentially.
right. So, well,
Not adding another clerk's position.
when you look at it, both town and school, it would be a significant number. But when you divide it up, it's manageable, so.
So it's important to keep in mind that this is an $82,000 recommendation, but it's only on the city side. There's probably a matching amount on the other side, so we're really looking at more like close to $175,000 managing our HR services. And then you're probably trying to stay within the scope of that, but just shifting some of the responsibility.
The HR responsibilities are really divided up amongst a number of people, like you indicated, Kev. Julie and I,
Right.
and Deb Du Bois, and the schools, and
Right. Well, because one of the things and why you're bringing that up is you have medical exams on here.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if, because it's going up, if it's because we anticipate hiring and we're going to need to cover costs for onboarding.
yes. So,
Because you're jumping from 6 to 9. So I'm thinking you're onboarding and you're going to need exams and other onboarding costs.
well, the 22 is 9, so that's level funded. So,
Oh, it was 9.
Yeah.
You're keeping it, oh, right.
Yeah.
The 3-year average column is throwing me off on it, where it's sitting. I keep thinking it's fiscal year 21. Okay.
so I think we're seeing more turnover. And so when you have turnover, you bring in on new people, you have medical
You have,
exams.
right, you have medical expenses and onboarding,
Yeah,
right?
But we also have savings on salaries because they go back to the first
yes,
step, but you have retirement, so it ends up in multiple places. Those,
right,
those numbers. Okay, thank you.
yeah.
Okay, any other questions?
Motion to recommend?
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion to recommend in a second. All in favor, let me do the roll call. Trevor,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Okay, so that is recommended. That was the list that we're going to look at today. So now we'll, Ed, do you want to, let's talk about the departments that you said that you and Sharon have arranged to come in and see us.
So we're proposing, schools would like to come in next week on March 9th. The following week, we're proposing public safety, police, fire, and emergency management. Now, we reached out to these department heads, they're on board with these dates, so. The following week, March 23rd, we have Department of Public Works, all divisions. That would include Packagug Golf. March 30th would be DDIS and all its divisions, as well as solid waste.
Who is it?
It's the Department of Development and Inspectional Services,
Okay.
which includes Health, Planning, Economic Development, Building Conservation Commission, Animal Control, ZBA, and Solid Waste. And we would still need, I didn't know if you were gonna go a little deeper tonight. But we would have finance, library, senior center, and cable. Debt and interest, employee benefits. So I think, those are the ones we can sprinkle in
Yes,
on another week, or we can try to, however you want to handle it.
Were we able to coordinate with Bay Path again? I know that was helpful last year. I think it was the first time in my tenure they were actually here.
We try to link that up with the school department next week, but I think they have a school committee meeting to address their budget next week. So I wanted them to get through their budget process.
Yep.
Even though we have a preliminary assessment, still has to be voted by the school committee. So we can line that up and bring them in.
I think it was helpful. I think it's
Yeah.
saying that, you know, a weird formula that we're not, you know,
The magic formula to figure out
it's
what the magic, yeah. It is.
all magic.
A lot of magic. So, my question, so obviously the finance department and the benefits and debt and interest is something Ed can take care of when we have some time, if we have some extra time. And then we probably do want to have the library come in and the senior center.
So we have beyond the 30th, if my math is correct, we'll have April 6th.
Is the last date. We have to approve it by then. Right?
I think we'd have to provide them, because I think the
Well, the
following
thirtieth
week.
is week 4, and then 4/6 is the 5th week.
Well, according to the budget timeline here, it says approval of budget by finance committee, April 6th. Because it
Right.
has to be approved in time to be, copied and also
So
sent
we have
out.
to put a meeting on a non-Wednesday?
Oh, is the 6th not a Wednesday?
No, the 6th is, but it's only 5 meetings. I didn't know if we were gonna wrap all these up in 4 or 5 meetings.
I think we could,
Sure.
yeah,
I think we can too.
yeah.
And that would leave the following week after 6th to take a position on the warrant articles.
Yep.
And just a reminder, when the departments do come in as scheduled, the review of their capital will be done at the same time.
Yes, yep, so we'll take a look at the capital
Yep.
budget also. And that's in here, right?
Yep.
Yep, okay. So, perhaps you could just check, or Sharon could just check and see about having the library or senior center, come in. And since it's just one department, maybe we could take care of them first and then do all of the other department that was scheduled to come in, because they're so large.
If we are running tight, is the finance committee willing to start earlier than 6:30 to? So we can,
That's up to the I can, it's up to the members.
I can be here I can just stay here. So, yeah,
Never leave?
yeah.
Okay,
I think as long as the hybrids option gives some folks that have
Yes.
potential commutes,
Yeah.
some more flexibility.
I can
so
come
just keep that in
earlier.
mind. I mean, we'll see how we're running, and if we have to.
There may be a couple of
Start
times where
early or
it'll help.
extend, then.
It may help on a couple of the larger ones,
Yeah.
like with the police and public safety and stuff like
Yes.
that. We may be able to just extend those meetings to get those big groups through.
Michael, did you have a question or a comment?
No, sorry about that.
Okay, good, I just want to make sure, all right. So, so that's a consideration also, starting at, 6. We used to have meetings that went to I remember being here till 10:30. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
So I'd be willing to at least discuss like finance and debt and interest after the school department
exactly.
next week, if you want to do that.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's helpful having. the
Yeah,
ones
I
that
don't
you
think
could
school department is going to be
Okay, great,
I think that wrap that up in about an hour. and then we can
yes,
Get into some other budgets.
okay, good, thank you.
All right?
Yes, any, other questions?
Did we have minutes to approve? Because I didn't see any.
No,
Good.
I
Okay.
did not see any, no. Okay, so, oh, Sharon, hi,
Hi, no, there were no minutes.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, you've written that down, right? Schools, public safety, DPW, DDIS, okay? So if there are no other questions, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Thank you.